Hey guys, it's Core Ross, and today we have a designer notes for the new season North Star, and this is almost as good as getting full patch notes. So let's take a look at this. So first of all, we got the attackers graph here. We can see Ash up at the top for pick rate, Sophia doing very well, and Ace doing great, nice win rate and pick rate. And we can see that we've got a decent collection here with a big tight grouping at the low pick rate, which is a bit sad. I'd love to see a few more of these pushed out, but for the moment that is not the case. And then for defenders, this is where it gets spicy. So Jaeger has dropped 20% in pick rate. This is mental. And that was from that recoil change. He's almost down at Melusi level, and of course Melusi's getting a big nerf, so I expect her to come kind of down this way and be like in this region. We know that Valkyrie will be getting a nerf sometime in the future, probably like mid-season, so we'll see if that shows up. And then it's unfortunate to see Chanka and Castle down here at the bottom. Of course, Chanka just got buffed, but it's not helping him at all. And then we've got Frost and Rook just kind of being outliners here, popping up to say hello and having good win rates, but not really big pick rates. And this moves us on to bans. So bans are pretty normal, although Jackal here is like really high. And of course, this is PC Platinum and above for all these graphs. So yeah, maybe a bit of a high pick rate for Jackal there. But when it comes to the defenders, we've got Mira, Melusi, and Valkyrie. I'm expecting, again, Melusi probably to drop down here, but certainly Mira up here. Now, of course, Mira's getting the smash glass mechanic added in, so that's going to potentially see her drop down, but I don't think so. I think she'll still stay pretty high. So we've got the gameplay after death. Now, they say here, test server only. They even reiterate it. This is not coming to live servers. They want you to give feedback. So of course you can go into the Ubisoft forums, you can go into Reddit, you can go into Twitter, and you can give feedback. But there will also be in the actual test server itself the ability to go fill in a survey and let people know exactly what you think of this. Because of course this is the biggest change that has ever happened to Siege in a long time. This huge, like it might literally be one of the biggest things ever to change the gameplay. So they're giving us time to kind of get used to this whole new system before it hits live. Presumably it'll take another season, even potentially longer, before we do see it hitting the live servers. Now of course I'll have a link to this in the description below if you want to go read the entire thing, but we'll hit on kind of the basics. So attackers are going to be able to control their own drones, or if they're playing as Twitch, they'll be able to use the Twitch drones. And of course they'll be able to drive them around, they'll be able to spot, they'll be able to do whatever you need to do. There's going to be antennas that actually pop up on the drones when it's a dead player that's controlling it, so that the defenders know, and it looks goddamn cute. And of course you can fire off Twitch's taser and Zero's lasers, and if you die with a regular drone it will spawn at the spawn point, so you can actually drive it in from there. So it's not like you actually lose it, which is handy. Although Twitch's drone will not spawn after death, so if she's got one on her and she dies, they will not appear. They're, it'll be gone. And then for defenders, you can use the new Bulletproof Camera, so you can rotate it, you can fire an EMP burst, which will disable stuff for 8 seconds. So it's a very small radius, but you can shoot it pretty far, and you can definitely troll like a thermite trying to get through a hard wall, but you can't destroy anything, you just disable it, which is handy for like disabling drones for a short time, so that your a live defender can run across and destroy that drone for you. And Echo, Maestro, and Mozzie can all use their drones and abilities after death. So, of course, Echo can drive around his drones, moves them all over the place. He can hit people with his sonic ability. And, of course, Maestro can zap people and look around with his turrets. You'll also be able to look around with Maestro turrets, even if you're not Maestro as well. You can actually look around with them, just not fire them. And, of course, Mozzie can drive his drones around too. And then down here, they actually give a list of things that have already changed and are current changes and future changes for this, which is very interesting. So yokai drones of course are no longer invisible, which helps. The bulletproof gas on the evil eye can be smashed. The introduction of the gun 6 helps with taking out some of the stuff that's going to be usable after death. And while not available in this initial test, attackers in the future will be able to change their operator pick during the preparation phase, which means you can drone out the objective and go, oh, I want to bring a different operator, and you can just go and switch and bring that different operator, which is going to be amazing. They're also looking at some future changes, and this is big. So Dokubi's logic bomb after death will affect defenders. So yeah, dead players somehow will be getting a call, or some sort of mechanic that will be probably, I'll probably blind all of the operators. I'm thinking like I'll just make the cameras not work for a little bit, something like that. That's my guess. And this, a new secondary gadget that will help with info denial. So a secondary gadget would basically be a replacement for like deployable shields and stuff like that. So that's big. Previously, they were actually talking about making a whole operator that was going to be info denial. But it now looks like they might be going secondary gadget route, or maybe they'll also have the operator in there as well. But that is big, and I don't know how that's going to work. You'll have to hide or make things look like other things or something like that. Of course, it needs to be confusing the enemy in some way. So I'm wondering how that's going to work. And they reiterate, we want your feedback on this. So, give them the feedback. Like I say, in game, there's going to be a survey you can actually fill out. So that'll be the best way to do it. And then they're changing the death experience, which basically means the kill cam. You're no longer get that close-up freeze frame on basically an operator doing some contorted body movements. You'll be getting a completely different camera view, which you can actually move to get a bit more intel. And I don't know about this yet. I need to kind of play with it. I don't like the HUD elements, like a big massive logo comes up on your screen, so that you know that it's like the kill cam, and it's like, I know it's a kill cam, I don't need a massive logo. So I do want some UI adjustments there, but I've only had a couple of days with it, so we'll see after a few weeks of how I feel about it. But we'll see. This is another one I need a couple of weeks to play with, which is the bodies disappearing and being replaced with a transparent operator icon. It is super arcadey. It really takes away from any idea that this game was a tactical shooter. So again, I don't like it, but I also do like it. Like, it looks arcadey, but I totally understand why. So I'm not sure. Again, this is something I just need to play with for a couple of weeks and see what I think. Then this is a good change. So bullet holes no longer make a hole that you can actually see through. The hole is still there, you just can't see through it. And this is of course in soft walls. Now you can still do a couple of shots into a barricade if you want to and see through them, but for like walls and stuff you can't. So this is to help with the problems of potentially walking into a corridor and just suddenly getting shot and you have no idea where that came from because they're just firing through a 9mm hole, whereas you could have potentially droned it, but maybe even then you might not have seen it. This is to kind of alleviate that and less cheeky kills, I guess. Now we've got the HP replacement armor system. This is test server only, which is interesting. The guy got a presentation along with all the other content creators, and we totally thought this was coming with the new season. So it is test server only. It's also changed a lot from the initial concept that we heard about, because 3 armors were originally going to have 140 base health. Now they've only got 125, which, because this whole system was supposed to kind of help 3 armors, or at least that was my understanding of it, because it made you feel like you're a bit more of a tank, even though of course it doesn't change anything. Like the armor reduction was, equal to it, so it's not exactly really making a difference, but I don't know if it's going to help 3 armors at all. And like I say, it was going to be 140 health, so that's a big reduction from where it was going to be. And they're changing a few things to go along with this. Of course, armor plates from Rook will now give you a 20 health bonus, and that's not like an overheal, that is a permanent health boost, so that is really cool. And then of course, over the base, even with the 20 increase from Rook, you will also get overheals, and that's of course from like Finka and all that, and Thunderbird and Nokk. So yeah, this is another one where we need to play around this for a couple of weeks on the test server, see how we feel. But I think this is going to be a great change, and they do mention that they're going to be tweaking this. This will be getting tweaked over the future, so expect these numbers to potentially change quite a bit. Then we've got Shattered Glass. This is coming with a new season, so that is the ability to walk up and mirror. So that is the ability to walk up and melee a mirror black window to smash the glass, making it impossible to see through. Same for the Maestro Evil Eyes. The only feedback I have so far on this, and of course again this is one where I need to play around with it for a couple of weeks, I would love for them to change it to be 2 or 3 melee hits on different parts of the mirror window to actually completely blind it. Like, kind of break it into sections. And for the Maestro, I'd love the same. I'd love to be able to go and smash both sides of the glass. So, because it opens up, I kind of consider them 2 different parts of glass. So I'd love to be able to melee both sides. It means the attackers would have to be accurate and they'd have to put off 2 melee attacks. Whereas I feel just 1 for both of these is maybe too easy, but maybe I'm wrong. So I need more time with it. The same effect also happens with Bulletproof Cameras now. So of course, normally you'd walk out to a bulletproof camera, melee it and destroy it. You will just melee it and actually break the glass, which means defenders can still listen to you. So you also have to shoot it or destroy it with explosives. That's an interesting little change for bulletproof cameras. So yeah, that's another big change, and is definitely going to change some tactics with mirror windows. Like, you're not going to put them on exterior walls or stuff like that anymore. You're definitely going to keep them closer and easier to defend. Then we got smoke propagation. My initial testing with this has been that it's really disappointing. Like, I would have loved them to bring in the Capital style stuff. So like, I could put a smoke grenade on, say, the roof, set it off, and the smoke would then just fall and spread out. I would freaking love that. I could imagine some really cool tactics with that. But unfortunately, doesn't work like that. It's very much still the same. It spreads a bit more, and it'll go through doors, it'll go through holes in walls, but it's just not really great. That's my kind of only problem with it. But again, need to play with that for a couple of weeks to see how it actually works. And then we've got a muzzle rework. So the flash hider and compensator are getting changed here. So the flash hider is going to reduce the speed and intensity of vertical recoil, and the compensator is going to reduce the speed and intensity of horizontal recoil. Now, in my early build that I played, it was really good. Like, this completely changed the recoil and made it so much easier to control. So I feel like they might tweak this and make it not quite as good as it currently is, but certainly these are so much better than they used to be, and I could see these being must picks, of course, for your weapons. And I could also see these being a simpler pick as well, because you now know what each one specifically does, and will definitely be kind of changed down on different weapons. So yeah, really good. Then we get onto operator balancing. So Ash is getting hit with a nerf. So she's going down to 2 breaching rounds instead of 3. Our R4C recoil is getting harder to control. The horizontal spread will be more consistent and stronger to the right. And long burst recoil will start on the 8th bullet rather than 12th. And this is a buff here. Breaching rounds are now immune to electricity, which is a good change for her. So yeah, that's I'm obviously looking at Jaeger's change with the recoil and going, oh, let's do that to someone else. So they have, and that's not the end of it. So going down to Finka, she's getting kind of a buff here, because she's going to be able to just base heal everybody, not just overheal. She can base heal them. If you have full health, she will overheal, but if you don't have full health, she'll top you back up. And considering you can now take over one of Thunderbird's healing stations, you can get a lot of health back in game really quickly with Finka and the new girl. And then we've got changes to Nuke. So again, this is test server only, probably not going to see this until next season. So they're making some changes here that I actually suggested in my Mythbuster episode for Nuke when we were testing this changeover last time it was on the test server. So proximity-based gadgets will not be triggered, so that's like Ella's Mine, it's Melissa's Banshees, proximity alarms, and metal detectors, but they've changed it so that laser-based gadgets are triggered. So that means a Capcan trap will go off, and that's what I suggested, because I thought, you know, a Capcan trap is more of a dumb gadget. She should still set it off, and it looks like they're going for that. They're also making it so that Nuke will no longer muffle her sounds. That is a big nerf right there, and I totally understand why. They don't want her to be all powerful and be able to get past everything. So yeah. And then glitches will still cancel the proximity immunity, so that's like going over barbed wire or sprinting while the ability is on. And they say down here that they don't want her to be too powerful, so they're trying to strike a healthy balance between stealthy and counter intel. They don't want her to become the extraterrestrial hunter of the 80s. And yeah, so Predator. So they want the hell to be interesting to use, but not be able to bypass everything, which I think is brilliant. And again, this is test server only. Presumably this will be coming maybe next season, and expect probably more tweaks as well. And then we've got Melissa. So of course we've talked about this one a bunch of times now. It is basically just being that if an attacker gets into the area of effect, it starts to get slowed down, the Banshee opens up and you can actually destroy it. You can do it very quickly as well. So that's going to be a massive nerf for Melissa, and we'll see how badly that actually impacts her. And now we've got Vigil. So again, the developers went, oh my god, that recoil change to Jaeger worked. Let's do it to other operators. So they're making Vigil's assault rifle, so the K1A, worse. And yeah, but we have more recoil changes in here that actually improve recoil too. So Zero is getting a buff. He's going to have infinite shots from his gadgets, his camera, and it's going to take a 15-second cooldown, but you can keep shooting off more and more shots. So of course that's great when you're dead and you're able to control it. So that is going to be a good change for him, but I don't think it'll have a big impact. And then we have more weapon balancing down here. So we've got the Baron 9, so Hibana, Echo, and Thunderbird. This is getting improved. So they're not nerfing this one. This one's actually getting improved. So yeah, this is going to be a better weapon to use. It seemed to be pretty decent in the preview build. And yeah, not bad at all. We've also got the SMG 12 for Vigil, Dokkaebi, and Warden. It is also getting improved. So yeah, again, that is another buff to these two secondary. Because of course, back in the day, they said that they didn't want these guns, these secondary SMGs, to become primary weapons, so they massively nerfed them. But it looks like they're taking that back a bit now and actually buffing them and making them more viable. So curious to see what they'll be like on the test server. And then we've got general balancing down here, which is area of effect. So this has been added to Jaeger, Ela, Nomad, and Kaid. Now they don't give an example. I don't know if it's this thing that we already have on Nomad and Kaid. And it just says down here, sometimes it can be difficult to accurately judge the effective area of proximity-based gadgets when placing it. I'm presuming it's just that white outline that we normally get, but we'll see. It says, to help illustrate their effective range, a visual effect, this is no change in power level, has been added to some operators' gadgets at the time of placement. So presumably it is just a thing that we do have on Kaid and Nomad, and of course on Wamai's magnets as well, but we'll jump in the test server and see if there is anything more to that. So yeah, that is the designer notes for the new season. A lot of interesting and big changes, some of them test server only, some of them not. So basically this is going to be a game changer of a season. This is really changing things up big time, and I can't wait to see how this actually affects gameplay. Some of it I absolutely love, some of it I'm not so sure about, so interested to see how it's all going to shake out. But certainly guys, let me know your feedback on all these changes in the comments below, and I'll catch you next time.